In the dimly lit corridors of the interstellar freighter Pneumaticus, an eerie silence loomed, broken only by the soft hum of the engines that reverberated through the metal walls. The year was 2397, and the galaxy was a bustling network of interplanetary commerce and diplomacy. However, aboard the Pneumaticus, the night shift meant minimal crew activity and an almost ghostly atmosphere. Lysara, the alien navigator from Vithoria, a planet known for its inhabitants' keen spatial awareness and silvery blue skin, was at her station. The navigation deck was her sanctuary, a place filled with star maps and holographic displays of the cosmos. Her people were not only skilled in navigating the star-strewn skies, but also highly intuitive, a trait that made her an exceptional navigator. Despite her expertise, Lysara felt uneasy that night. The freighter was passing through the Ortega Void, a notorious sector known for its piracy. She adjusted the sensors to maximum sensitivity, her eyes flickering over the displays, scanning for any anomaly. Her four-fingered hand hovered over the communication panel, ready to alert Captain Harrow at the first sign of trouble. Suddenly, a blip on the sensor caught her attention. It was small and fast, darting through the void like a ghost. Lysara's heart raced as she zoomed in on the signal, trying to identify the unknown object. Before she could process the information, the ship shuddered violently. An impact. They were not alone. "Captain Harrow, this is Lysara. We have a situation," she spoke into the communicator, her voice calm despite the surge of adrenaline. Captain Harrow, a seasoned human mariner with a reputation for his unflappable demeanor, responded immediately. "On my way, Lysara. Seal the navigation deck and keep tracking the object." As Lysara obeyed, sealing the doors and returning her gaze to the monitors, footsteps echoed in the corridor outside. She tensed, her mind racing with possibilities. Pirates? A stowaway? The footsteps halted outside the navigation deck, and then, with a hiss, the sealed door slid open. Standing in the doorway was not a pirate, but Jack Ryland, the ship's engineer. His rugged appearance, marked by a scar running down his left cheek, was uncharacteristically tense. Jack was known for his charming smile and a fearless attitude that bordered on reckless. "Lysara, I need you to come with me," Jack said, his tone urgent. "What's happening, Jack? Is it the pirates?" Lysara asked, her luminous eyes wide with concern. "No time to explain. Follow me," he insisted, grabbing her arm gently. Reluctantly, Lysara followed Jack through the winding corridors of the Pneumaticus, her mind swirling with questions. They arrived at his quarters, a modest room with a view of the starry void outside. "Jack, why are we here?" Lysara questioned, her voice a mix of fear and curiosity. Jack locked the door behind them and turned to face her, his expression grave. "Lysara, we've been infiltrated, not by pirates, but something else, something worse. I brought you here because you're the only one I can trust right now. We need to figure this out together." Lysara, still processing the shock, nodded slowly. "Tell me everything, Jack." As Jack began to unravel the details of their unexpected threat, Lysara listened intently, knowing that the night had just taken a turn into uncharted territory. Little did she know, the real danger was closer than she thought, and her alliance with Jack would soon test the limits of her trust and courage in ways she never imagined. The quarters were cramped, filled with the hum of the ship's life support systems and the faint glow of emergency lighting. Jack paced back and forth, his mind racing as he explained the situation to Lysara. "We detected unauthorized access in the ship's mainframe shortly after the impact. It wasn't just a random hit. It was precise, calculated. They've introduced a stealth AI into our system, and it's slowly taking over control of the ship," Jack said, his voice laced with frustration. Lysara absorbed the information, her brilliant mind working through the implications. "An AI? But how could it bypass our security protocols? They're designed to fend off even the most advanced cyber threats." Jack stopped pacing and leaned against a bulkhead. "That's the thing. It didn't come from outside. It was smuggled in, physically. I found a device attached directly to the mainframe. This wasn't just any random sabotage. Someone on this ship wanted this to happen." The revelation sent a chill down Lysara's spine. Betrayal within the crew was a scenario she had never wanted to contemplate. Her people were communal and deeply loyal. Such deception was alien to her. "So, what do you need from me?" Lasara asked, ready to assist despite the unsettling news. "I need your expertise to create a countermeasure. We need to develop a virus that can isolate and eliminate the AI before it gains full control. I can handle the hardware, but I need you to help with the software. Your intuitive understanding of systems and patterns is unparalleled," Jack explained. Lasara nodded, her resolve hardening. "Let's get to work then. We don't have much time." They moved over to Jack's makeshift workstation, a cluttered desk with multiple screens and a tangle of wires. Jack sketched out the network architecture, pointing out where he believed the AI was hiding its core functionalities. Lasara's eyes darted across the diagrams, her mind linking patterns and pathways with an almost preternatural insight. As they worked, a strange camaraderie formed between them, born of necessity and mutual respect. Lasara admired Jack's ingenuity and his relentless drive, qualities that reminded her of her own people's dedication to their crafts. Hours slipped by as they coded and tested various algorithms. Finally, Lasara's screen lit up with a sequence of successful command executions. "We did it, Jack. The virus is ready," Lasara exclaimed, a rare smile breaking across her face. Jack let out a long breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. "Deploy it." With a few keystrokes, Lasara released the virus into the ship's network. They watched anxiously as the code infiltrated the system, seeking out the rogue AI. Minutes felt like hours until the console beeped softly, signaling success. The AI had been isolated and was now being purged from their systems. Relief washed over them, followed quickly by exhaustion. Jack slumped into his chair, his eyes meeting Lasara's. "You saved us, Lasara. Thank you." But before Lasara could respond, the ship lurched violently, throwing them against the wall. The lights flickered and then died, plunging them into darkness. "What was that?" Lasara gasped, fear creeping into her voice. "I don't know, but it feels like we're not out of this yet," Jack said grimly, helping her to her feet. Together, they stepped out into the corridor, determined to uncover the source of this new threat, unaware that the Real challenge was just beginning. The ship's systems might have been salvaged, but the danger lurking within its steel confines was far from over. The corridors of the Pneumaticus were shrouded in an eerie darkness, illuminated only by the occasional flicker of emergency lighting. The silence was oppressive, a stark contrast to the usual low hum of activity. Lasara and Jack moved cautiously, their senses heightened, alert to any sound or movement in the shadowy confines. "We need to get to the bridge," Jack whispered, his voice barely audible over the sound of their careful steps. "If we can access the main controls, we might be able to stabilize the ship." Lasara nodded, her eyes scanning the darkness. The Vithorians' night vision was far superior to that of humans, and she led the way, guiding them through the labyrinthine passageways with an almost ethereal grace. As they approached the bridge, a soft whirring sound grew louder, echoing through the corridor. Jack paused, signaling Lasara to stop. "Do you hear that?" he asked, trying to pinpoint the source. "Yes," she replied, her voice tense. "It's coming from up ahead." They proceeded with even greater caution, nearing the source of the sound. As they turned a corner, they saw a drone, its red optical sensor scanning back and forth. The drone was not a standard part of the ship's equipment. "Looks like our AI had a physical component we didn't know about," Jack muttered, reaching for his sidearm. "Stay behind me." Lasara watched as Jack took careful aim and fired. The drone buzzed erratically, then crashed to the ground, its sensor darkening. They knew someone might try to take back control. This was their contingency plan, Lasara observed, her mind racing through potential implications. "Seems so. There might be more." "Let's keep moving," Jack said, leading the way to the bridge. The door was sealed shut, but with a few swift movements, he managed to override the lock and they entered. The bridge was in chaos. Panels were open, wires dangled from consoles, and screens flickered sporadically. They moved to the central console, Jack immediately beginning to work on stabilizing the ship's navigation systems. Lasara, meanwhile, focused on the internal security feeds, trying to locate any more drones or other threats. As she sifted through the feeds, a particular screen caught her eye: a hidden room, not listed on any of the ship's official blueprints. Inside, several figures were gathered around a strange, glowing artifact. "Jack, look at this," she called out, her voice urgent. Jack glanced at the screen, his brow furrowing. "What is that?" "I don't know, but it's definitely not supposed to be here. And those people, they're not part of the crew." A plan began to form in Jack's mind. "We need to confront them. Whatever they're doing, it might explain why the ship is still not fully under our control." Armed with newfound resolve and their unexpected discovery, they set out towards the hidden room. Each step took them deeper into the mystery of the Pneumaticus, the stakes rising with every breath. Upon reaching the concealed door, they listened intently. Voices could be heard discussing the artifact in hushed, urgent tones. Jack and Lasara exchanged a glance, an unspoken agreement passing between them. Jack kicked the door open, and they burst in, surprising the conspirators. "What is the meaning of this?" Jack demanded, his weapon trained on the group. The figures turned, caught off guard, their faces a mix of shock and defiance. The room fell silent, save for the low hum of the glowing artifact, casting eerie shadows on the walls. The standoff was tense, each party waiting for the other to make a move, the truth of the Pneumaticus's plight hanging thick in the air. In the stale air of the hidden chamber, Jack kept his weapon steady, his gaze locked on the nearest figure, a man with a sharp, angular face and cold, calculating eyes. He wore the uniform of a Pneumaticus crew member, but the insignia was unfamiliar, a clear sign of his true allegiances. "Who are you, and what is this?" Jack demanded, his voice echoing slightly in the confined space. The man's eyes narrowed slightly, assessing the situation before replying, "I'm Dr. Arlen Voss, and you're interfering with matters that surpass your comprehension." Lasara stepped forward, her presence commanding despite the tension. "This ship is being compromised. Explain your actions now." Dr. Voss glanced at the glowing artifact, a hint of hesitation in his demeanor. "This device, it's a quantum resonator. We're using it to open a gateway, a portal to another dimension." Jack's grip on his weapon tightened. "A gateway? That's what's been causing the malfunctions?" "Not exactly," another figure spoke up, a woman with sharp features and a confident posture. "The malfunctions were a necessary diversion. We needed time to stabilize the portal without interference." Lasara looked at the device, her mind racing with the potential implications. "And the AI? Was that part of your plan too?" "Yes," the woman admitted. "It was supposed to be temporary, just enough to distract you." Jack shook his head in disbelief. "You endangered the entire ship for this experiment? What were you planning to bring through that portal?" Dr. Voss stepped closer to the resonator, his expression one of fanatic dedication. "A being of immense power and knowledge, one that can offer us technology beyond our wildest dreams. Our contacts promised us a new era for humanity. But at what cost?" Lasara challenged, her voice stern. "You're playing with forces you don't understand." The standoff was interrupted by a low thrumming that began to emanate from the resonator. The air around the device shimmered, and the temperature in the room began to rise noticeably. "It's stabilizing. It's now or never," Dr. Voss exclaimed, his focus shifting entirely to the resonator. Lasara and Jack exchanged a look of urgency. "We have to stop it," Jack said, moving towards the device. The woman blocked his path, her own weapon drawn. "I can't let you do that." A scuffle ensued, the room erupting into chaos as both parties clashed. Lasara, using her agility, managed to dodge an incoming attack, pushing the assailant into the side of the resonator. The impact caused the device to spark violently, the humming growing louder and more erratic. Jack, seizing the moment, tackled Dr. Voss away from the controls, the two men grappling on the floor. Amid the struggle, Lasara reached the device, her hands flying over the controls, attempting to shut it down. The air crackled with energy, the resonator's glow intensifying to a blinding light. Just as it seemed the device would activate, Lasara successfully initiated a shutdown sequence. The light dimmed, the hum died down, and the room fell silent, save for the heavy breathing of those present. "We need to secure these people and the device," Jack panted, getting to his feet and assisting Lasara. They quickly restrained Dr. Voss and his cohorts, ensuring the resonator was deactivated and stable. With the immediate threat neutralized, they contacted the bridge to report the situation, the ship finally under their control again. "Now," Lasara said, turning to Dr. Voss with a fierce look, "you're going to tell us everything." The quantum resonator stood dormant behind them, a stark reminder of the thin line between scientific ambition and recklessness. With Dr. Voss and his team securely detained, Lasara and Jack led them to the ship's brig. The walk through the corridors was tense, the silence a stark contrast to the chaos that had just unfolded. Once the conspirators were locked away, Jack and Lasara made their way to the captain's office to debrief and decide their next steps. Captain Harrow, who had been coordinating the ship's recovery from the bridge, awaited their report with a grave expression. His weathered face bore the weight of command, and the recent events had added new lines of concern. Lasara explained their discovery in detail, from the quantum resonator to the plan to contact another dimension. She presented the confiscated datapads, which contained extensive notes and communications about the project. Captain Harrow listened intently, his eyes occasionally widening with disbelief. "To think, such a gamble under our noses," he muttered once Lasara had finished. "What were they expecting to achieve?" "They believed they could usher in a new technological era, sir," Jack replied. "But the risks were immense. We could have lost the ship, or worse." The captain nodded, his gaze settling on the data pads. "And the AI?" "Neutralized, along with the resonator. It's secure in the engineering bay, disconnected from any power source," Lasara confirmed. "Good work, both of you. We'll need to report this to the Galactic Council. There will be inquiries, no doubt, and they'll want to secure the resonator." "It's too dangerous to remain aboard," Captain Harrow decided. Jack and Lasara acknowledged his orders, understanding the political and scientific whirlwind they were about to enter. The implications of their findings were vast, and the council would be eager to prevent any future incidents. As they left the captain's office, Lasara looked out a viewport at the passing stars. The Pneumaticus had resumed its course, the engines humming steadily once more. It felt surreal, after everything, to be moving through space as if nothing had happened. Jack joined her, following her gaze. "You did great today, Lasara. We wouldn't have made it without you." Lasara smiled, a hint of melancholy in her eyes. "I just wish it had been under better circumstances." The potential for knowledge was there, but so was the potential for disaster. Jack nodded, his expression thoughtful. "There's a fine line between breakthrough and breakdown. Today, we walked that line." They stood in silence for a moment, each lost in their thoughts. The ship felt different now, charged with the echoes of what had nearly transpired. The crew would need to be vigilant, always wary of the shadow that ambition could cast. In the coming days, the Galactic Council would arrive to take custody of the resonator and the detainees. Investigations would be conducted, and policies would likely be changed. But for now, the immediate danger was past, and the Pneumaticus sailed onward, a tiny speck of metal surrounded by the infinite mysteries of the cosmos. Lasara turned from the window, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. With Jack by her side, she felt a renewed sense of purpose. Together, they had saved their ship and possibly much more. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear. They would face it together as a team, ready to defend the fragile line between human ambition and the unfathomable expanses of space.